Holla holla, it's your boy, George Billionaire, and today is an amazing day. I love Mondays. There's just something about Mondays which is just so refueling. It's the beginning of a new week. It's like starting over again. And I've said to myself every single Monday, I need to be accountable to be able to look at what I've achieved the last week compared to what I want to achieve this week. And if you keep doing that and constantly keep checking on yourself, you'll become a better individual. Every single Monday, we go to Cappy Talk, Hustle Hard. And today, we're going to be talking about a topic. All things are possible to he or she who believes. Now, after watching this, I can tell you that you're going to start thinking different, because the things I'm going to be talking about today are going to blow you away. They're going to make you realize that, wait a minute, the only person holding you back, the only person holding you back is nobody else but you. So today, all things are possible to he who believes. Let's go. Cappy Talk 100.4 FM, Hustle Hard with yours truly, George Billionaire. Success is an inside job, and it begins with the second letter of success, and that's you. And all you need to do is believe, believe, and believe. Let's go.
And you're listening to Cappy Talk 100.4 FM, Harare's Heartbeat, with yours truly, Becky K.
George! Holla holla.
Holla holla.
No, now you can talk. Oh, you enter and then no, now you can greet the people.
Holla holla, it's your boy, George Billionaire, once again on Cappy Talk, Hustle Hard, with none other, the one and only Becky K.
Yeah, international speaker.
Internationally known.
Yes.
Globe-trotting, MC, speaker, author.
Imagine.
Becky.
Author I received.
Yeah.
Like that.
It's amazing, Becky, to see you excelling in so many things you're doing.
Thank you so much.
And you know, this is a great example, especially for those people who still rely on one stream. And here we have Becky being flown to just go and speak to multitudes, and not for free, by the way. And there she is going to MC, and there she is, doing so many hustles on the side besides her just job. So it's great to be on the show, Becky. Monday, hustle hard. Today, as always, people are going to be provoked, inspired, and equipped. This is our mandate every single Monday. And it's so great to see, as I always say, Becky, the best thing that I can ever receive from people is feedback, especially about things they are deliberately doing.
Oh, yeah.
Especially from hearing things on the show.
Yeah.
And it's great to see people being provoked. It's great to see people's lives changing, especially by taking action. Because we have been here for so long. We're talking every single Monday. But the difference between you and me and the listeners is that you and me are taking action from what we are hearing.
True.
And our lives are changing.
True story.
But there are many who are just after every single Monday, every podcast, they go and watch it online. They are very provoked and motivated. But then, motivation does not get the job done.
Oh, yeah,
it's what you do with the knowledge. I love the quote, knowledge is not power unless it is applied. So we've said it before that all the information you get on the show, even at church yesterday, Becky, the word was powerful. I was at church yesterday, amazing word. But so many people say powerful Monday, Tuesday, powerful. After 48 hours,
done,
Becky,
and dusted,
the human mind goes back to original factory settings. And you totally forget all that wisdom, nuggets, inspiration, motivation. Then you go back to being the same person. So a big shout out to all those people. I always tell you, there are army officials, there are people sitting, listening to us from all over the world. I get so many inboxes, and it's great to show people are getting the message. But it's one thing to get it, we want you to apply. We want those testimonies of, wow, I started, I'm doing this, I learned this. So, that's amazing feedback coming from people.
Absolutely.
And we encourage people to always apply.
Absolutely.
And not just be hearers.
I met someone, I think it was Friday afternoon. Well, two people actually, they're friends, and they were looking for capital to start some business, and they ended up selling their cars.
Wow.
To start this, the business that they wanted to get into, and they said, no, this is what we're using to pour into our project. And I'm like, why would you do that? So for me, it sounded like monopenga.
Yeah.
Right? And then they referred back to one of our chats.
Why are you going back to a commuter omnibus?
They referred back to one of our talks right here on Hustle Hard. There was a time and it's my questions I pinned about capital and George said, I think it was a few weeks back, not long ago.
Yeah.
And then George said, une phone, capital, phone, something.
Liquidate.
Yes, and Sakaisiso were like, I know our cars are worth something. Sakatakama together, we can buy one car. I don't know, shine such time around, and we can rebuild. I'm listening to them like, oh, okay. Oh, wow, that's nice. Yeah. But for me, it was like, Becky, would you look at that?
Yeah.
Would you look at that? So you're absolutely doing a good job challenging people to think outside the box, challenging people to be like, hey, listen, stop knocking and asking money from people when you've got things that you can actually liquidate and get funds from it to start whatever business it is that you want. And with the topic that we are going to speak about today, there's no way you will fail if you have that strong belief that the project that you want to do is actually going to succeed.
True that.
But before we get into that, with what we were just discussing on Weekend Flashback, maybe not focusing so much on the houses being demolished or things being broken down. Sometimes in life we get ourselves involved in contracts and deals that there's an insight that tells you double check. You were talking about due diligence and everything. At what stage in my life am I supposed to do due diligence before I embark on anything or before I get into something? Because as human beings, sometimes we want to believe the lies and make them sound true. We want to feel like, hey,
that's true.
Because it sounds exactly the way that you want.
When I saw those videos and all that happening over last week, it reminded me, Becky K, of a story I told once back in Glenora when I built a phone shop in an undesignated place. And thank God for me, it was an investment of about $3,000-$4,000. But I learned a very important lesson back then. And to all the listeners, wherever you are in the world, it's so very important, especially before you make a huge investment. Something that sounds too good to be true is exactly that, and you need to take extra precautionary measures, especially in Harare or wherever city you are in. For you to be able to build on a piece of land, it has to be compliant with water, sewer, and road regulations. So if you're sold a house where a stand where there isn't that provision, already that's a huge awakening for you to say, but wait a minute, where's the water going to be? Where's the sewer? Because those are city compliance regulations that they tell people.
Right.
So to majority of people, especially those who are desperate, you're going to waste a lot of money, and it's very disheartening. I saw a man trying to,
standing in front of the house.
But it's a pity that I'm sure the city council would have done its due diligence, and some people may not actually be informed. But let this not happen again to somebody. Maybe you're out there, you're in the middle of building. It's important. Go and verify before you actually overinvest in doing your finishes, doing your lovely ceilings, doing all your final touches, and then all of it now then to be demolished.
Oh God.
So it was heartbreaking to see that, but it's also a lesson to us. So in this life we live and we learn. That happened to somebody else, tomorrow it could be you, but let's learn the lesson. Anytime you want to buy something, get a lawyer involved. Get somebody who can, really
there's someone
tell
actually
you that,
saying lawyer for who?
But can I work with waka in by 300,000? Trust you me, it will hurt to see that being demolished. And that thing doesn't take time to demolish. In 3 minutes, the whole house would be down, right? But imagine how long it took you. It took you 2 years to lift that structure. But if it's wrongly placed and it's not under city council bylaws and regulations, all that investment is not going to be reimbursed. That could have been your life savings. That could have been the prime time when you were working and being very productive. And now all of it is gone. So let us as citizens, as people, be very deliberate in doing our due diligence. Let's not just buy things from so many people out there called land barons who are just selling things. There are others who can sell you a double stand. You and me can buy the same stand.
I've heard those stories.
So, it's always important. Go to the local government authorities, go to City of Harare, ask before you get excited, and the land person who sells you can start building now. Just give us the 50,000 and you can start. They just want the quick money, and most of the time when things get tough, they'll tell you it wasn't my money, I gave it somebody else, and you can't prove anything. And then the person who is at loss, other than just the stand money, imagine how much money you would have put on that special foundation and everything else. So, let's live and learn. Let's not see this happening again and say we were not foretold or forewarned. It happened to me. I learned. I lost $4,000. That was okay. But I learned next time, George, ita due diligence. Usawe se vamwe wakaitwa sizvo zvatakaona zvichiitika over the weekend. Make sure you do thorough check. Go personally. Don't send somebody to the city council. Go personally if it's a property you want to actually invest in, and do what needs to be done if you're going to begin building and investing in a property for your family. Otherwise, trust you me, I can imagine your kids. It's an illegal structure. Where are you gonna go? So it was heartbreaking, but in this life, I think it's a great lesson to many out there who haven't bought or who are planning on actually buying a piece of land.
Check the paperwork. Due diligence is important. If you're just joining us, welcome to Hustle Hard. It's Becky K and George Billionaire coming through to provoke, inspire, and equip your mind. Today we're talking about you never know what you can do until you apply a little bit of faith. All things are possible if you only believe. Now that's a faith statement for me right there. And it makes it seem as if it's like some magic word to make everything just work out in your favor, and you can break barriers and just do exploits with just that statement. You never know what you can do until you apply a little bit of faith, and all things are possible if you only believe. That one church yes, amen. Preach it.
True that.
But it's not that easy.
Yeah. But
that belief.
One of the things that affect a lot of people growing up, and some who are adults now, are things that they grew up having obtained. Now, if you look at, I always use my kids as examples. Gabriel broke a record 2 weeks ago. His brother recently made the Zimbabwe water polo team.
Oh wow.
His sister also did her personal best time. And all of these things are deliberate things instilled in children at a young age. That you can do anything. You can believe in yourself, and you can actually have the whole world if you want to. Now, there are three things in life in regards to learning. There is learning, right? Those are things, Becky. Right now, there are certain things that you've learned. There are habits, there are traditions, there are things that have been in you, right?
Yes, I know them. Like I probably can do them in my sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
There is unlearning. There are certain things, Becky. You were told that nobody from this household ever became an entrepreneur. You can never become great or do anything, right? And then there is relearning. So those three things are key, right? We have learned things, we have to unlearn things, and now, most importantly, what we're doing on this show is making people relearn certain things. And there are so many mindsets that people have. On this show, Becky, we have so many people saying entrepreneurship is not for everybody. I can't do this because you know what? It's just not meant for me. It's for other people. But then if we get outside that mindset, and I love always referring to the word of God, which says, do not be conformed to this world, but be ye transformed. And everything begins in the mind. So one thing that a lot of people lack is self-belief. And in this quote we are going on today, that all things are possible to he or she who believes. And we look, I was looking at locally here in Zimbabwe, we have the soccer fraternity. We've got a soccer club called Simba Bora, right? Owned by Simba Ndoro. And they won the Premier League.
Okay.
Trust you me, once upon a time, they were never ever going to be contenders of winning the Premier League. But somebody began that soccer team many years ago, and they believed that one day our team is going to win the Premier League. There's so many people who said this, that, and the other. But he who began it believed it. And it took a bit of time. And now, guess what? They are crowned champions. I could say the same thing for Scotland FC, who won the soccer league this year. They started recently and they've won. Trust you me, when people start something and look at them, just a season and they've won the league, and it's something. But it only takes a person who believes in something and works hard at it to actually begin to achieve those results. But majority, like I always say, Becky, people don't believe. They don't. And this is something from Kudara. I was in Nyanga this weekend, and I was speaking at a forum of so many people who were there.
Good.
And I always do this exercise, even at my mentorship program. And I always tell people, write the word I am. And this is great for everybody who's wherever they are. Write the word I am in the middle of a blank piece of paper. Now I want you to write words that describe who you are. And it's amazing how people write 5 words, 6 words, some 10. And all that, Becky, if I trace it, there's no positive things that you can say about yourself, because simply you don't believe in yourself. You can't even prophetically speak to yourself. I am successful. I am handsome. I am a winner. I am a champion. I'm above and not. There's so many things. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm marked for greatness. There's so many I ams you can speak forth. But these all come with a simple thing called believing. And in the word of God it says all things, not some things, Becky. All things are possible to he or she who believes. Now, if we look around the world, every successful person, from our very own legends in the country to all those inventors who created the cars, the lights, every single thing, at one point in time, they believed in their vision. And it came to pass because they believed it. And this is what God says. Anything that you want to do on this planet, you can ultimately be. One thing about a tree, a mango tree, it cannot be anything else but a mango tree. If it believes and it says, I want to be an apple tree, it cannot. A human being different to a tree can have unlimited possibilities of what they want to be. Now, when we all grow up, Becky, the simple thing about choosing where you're going to go ultimately depends and lies on you. I say this repeatedly, that on this planet, great announcement, nobody's coming to rescue you. You determine where you end up. But the belief system that is in you ultimately drives you to where you end up being in life. Now, Becky, the sum total result of your thoughts, your habits, have caused you to be where you are today. Becky, the car you are driving, the lifestyle you are living, is a set of beliefs. The phone you are using, all these things are all beliefs that you have inhabited and caused to manifest in your life. So to this quote, it says, and it's simply saying to people out there, you can be anything you want to be. Ultimately, the only person holding you back, hakuna umwe munhu, Becky, it is only you. But all you need to do is to believe. And to those who believe, those who stay true to whatever they start on doing. I love the story of our own legendary entrepreneur here in the country, Dr. Strive Masiwa, Dr. Philip Chiangwa, Dr. Nigel Chanakira. All these guys believed in a vision that they were so willing to sell their properties, right? To liquidate their assets, to believe into something that ultimately then flourished and became. But to majority of people, great, you're saying there's people who are selling their cars. How much do you believe in that thing that you want to do? How much are you willing to do outside everybody else for you to make that thing come to life? And we go to our favorite quote by the late Dr. Miles Monroe, the graveyard, richest place on planet Earth. A lot of people, all they lacked was belief in that vision that they could have brought to life. But right now, the graveyard's called the richest place is because people didn't believe. They thought, no, entrepreneurship, it's not for me. Me being a speaker, no, it's not for me. Me speaking. Becky, once upon a time, you never thought you'd be flown all around the world to just hold a mic and open your mouth and speak to people. I never knew, Becky, that I would be paid to travel like you, to go and speak. But guess what happened? It all began by believing, and you started doing it by yourself in a little closet, posting a little video, sharing it. Then people see, hey, then you begin, you know what, let me start an air conditioning company. And guess what? Now that air conditioning company that I believed in is what's happening now. But majority of people do not believe, and they believe in a 4-letter word that begins with the letter F-E-A-R, right? They fear too much. They are full of fear.
But isn't fear also a form of a belief system? Because that's what probably raised them, that's what they were surrounded by. Maybe their parents, relatives, that's all they knew.
This is why I spoke about the 3 things. You learn, you unlearn, and then you relearn.
Yeah.
Right now, what we're doing on Hustle Hard, people have learned, right? And some of them have unlearned. But the most important thing is to relearn that, wait a minute, all things, not some things, all things are possible if I just simply believe. Now, if you look at any business right now that's out there, Becky, trust you me, there are so many people who said, I, as George, were going to fail, right? There's so many people who've said to you, and even to the listeners, that it won't work. But guess what? Only to he or she who is truly open to speak the truth. I know the story about my Dr. Rebecca Chisamba, when people said your show will never be anything. I know about Oprah Winfrey, that they said, no, you don't look good for TV, right? I know so much about all these people who are out in the world. There's so many stories to tell. Your voice is not good for anything. And then they became the #1 top sellers. The thing that sets them apart is not the opinions of people, but it's actually looking inside and saying, you know what? I can do all things, not some things, because you believe. Because when God created us, Becky, we are different from every single living creature. We are not trees who stay in one place.
True.
You can go to America and flourish. A tree in Glenora today can only know the Glenora community and be a hero there, that in December, this tree produces the best mangoes, but it's only serving that community. But for you and me, Becky, you can travel the world and be internationally known only if you begin to believe in yourself, firstly. Now, I always tell people there's nobody on this planet who will ever believe in you if you yourself, as an individual, do not believe in yourself. It is not possible. So you have to begin to believe, to say, you know what? I'm not going to be moved by the opinions of people. So many people were told by their own fathers, brothers, uncles, sisters, husbands, wives, that you will never be anything. You're not good enough for this. When I was at school, Becky, I told you, I was in a class called the NHS, the No Hope Squad. And imagine, these people deemed that these guys will not make it in life. But can you imagine now, those same teachers who see me today and hear me speaking on radio, that's that guy we said, he'll never make it if he continues on this. Imagine now. But because of my personal belief system and saying, you know what? As long as I believe, the challenge with the world at large is that, Becky, we all have different gifts. God gave us different things.
Yeah.
If you manage to find your great gift and your personality of who you are, and you work on it, you can provide a solution or a service to people out there, and in exchange they'll give you money. I have a very close friend who is a DJ. Back then, people would say, hazvina mari zvekuita DJ.
Yes,
But imagine, my friend is an internationally known DJ, flying the world doing things. But back then at school, they wanted to judge us on our inability maybe to claim and to master certain things, because we're all different. And the best thing that you can ever do is to find what your personal purpose is and believe in it, and ultimately you begin to see certain things beginning to work for you.
George Billionaire on Hustle Hard. It is 7 minutes to 1 o'clock. You can send through your questions, your comments, and your contributions. I will then redirect what you've just said to maybe someone who's tuned in right now and saying, okay, George, I've heard you. I'd learned maybe the wrong things, and now I've unlearned them. And now I'm trying to relearn something. What am I supposed to stay away from? What am I supposed to put myself into? Because if I'm to relearn something, I must not do the things that I used to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Becky, I've always said to people that the greatest and the fastest thing that can help you to become great is deliberately associating with other great people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mindset is everything to me. I've said it before, that your association determines your destination. If you keep hanging around with small-minded people who lack belief, who are not doing anything progressive, you will not unlearn certain things. But what you need to do is to relearn. Now, relearning is a process where you understand. And I gave this example about our own mobile devices and how they are constantly updating their software. There are certain things which are changing in this world today. And the more you keep learning and adapting to the certain changes that are happening, the better an individual you'll become. I can tell you, great example for these guys who won the leagues here in Zimbabwe, right? Scott and Simba. They actually affiliate together and they have a group of friends. And they said, wait a minute, your team was promoted. No, why don't you start your team? You can also be great. And guess what? It may have started just as a conversation like that, but now look at where they have ended up. They won the Premier League, they won this, and now they're going to be playing in the same league together. There's nothing more exciting than having friends who force you to level up, who force you to say, listen, if I did it, you can do it also. And those are the type of deliberate people you need to hang around. And I've said it, that if you have friends who cannot encourage, who cannot put some wood in the fire that you have, who cannot challenge you, Becky, trust you me, if you were somebody who also doesn't provoke me, we also have our own conversations, and you also challenge it. That's the thing. In Proverb it says, iron sharpens iron. So if you are an iron and you're playing with wood, you're not going to be sharpened. And very soon, you'll become very blunt and useless in life. And these are some of the friends that we are entertaining. They lack a personal self-belief. They think just their job and living the ordinary and average life is all they were set on this planet to do. But again, with our quote today, it emphasizes that not some things, not most things, but all things are possible. I have a brother, Becky, who studied accounting and was deemed to be a chartered accountant, right? He then left that, he went into supermarkets, he then left that, and now he's running a school. Get this correctly. There's so many various changes that have happened, but it's amazing that he's excelling in that. But this is the thing to people, you were not made to just be a mango tree. You can adapt and be multi-vested individual that can do so many things. So let us not be conformed to this world by thinking I can only do one thing. I'm okay with where I'm at. I'm only in season in December, like a mango tree. I am mango you know.
I was about to say, mango tree, right?
But you don't have to only reap results at the end of the month and get a salary, or only be fruitful in a specific season. You can do multitude of things. And this is what God purposed us to be. And I cannot keep emphasizing to people that I was privileged to have a vision, to see that, George, you are not just meant to be one person. You're supposed to be so many multitudes of things. You're supposed to speak and provoke people around the world. You're supposed to be a philanthropist. You're supposed to be this, that, and the other. I just wasn't supposed to stay and work at the paint people for 20, 30 years of my life and resign and never be heard by anybody on radio or anything. But because once upon a time, Becky, and you know one thing that so fascinates me, I remember last year I spoke and I wrote a resolution that I want to be on radio. I want to be this. I want to be a renowned speaker.
You did?
I
Actually
want.
wrote it down.
So imagine when you gave me a call back then in April last year.
Yeah.
That was something that I had believed and written down. And this is why I tell people, whatever you want, write it down. The universe will cause certain things to happen to cause those things that you desire to come. All it was writing it down as a belief. And now, Becky, imagine, I am also, like you, being called to come and speak at companies, at schools, at universities.
Yeah.
Becky, not for free. Being
the,
paid.
With the ka-ching.
Being paid, but because I believed. And this is why I say to people, if you believe and you work on yourself and you work on your craft, all things are possible. Only if you just believe and you work hard at whatever it is you want to do. Trust you me, you can achieve multitude of things and ultimately become great.
George Billionaire in the building on Hustle Hard, talking about all things are possible if you only believe. I think this is the kind of conversations that we need to have, especially towards the end of the year, where people are feeling like, oh my gosh, I tried the whole year and nothing seems to be coming together. And then you get to hear something like this. So if you are about to give up, I hope that this message or the conversation that we're having will actually help you to hold on just a little bit longer, put in some work, restructure, re-strategize. Don't change the goal, change the method. You are almost there. You're almost there. We're about to get into the news, and if you still have questions for George, you can send them through and we'll tackle them next week, Monday, when we continue with Hustle Hard. You can find George Billionaire where?
On Instagram, we've got our masterclass happening on the 7th of December. So all those who've been asking, George Billionaire on all social media platforms. Remember, this life, there's nobody responsible for where you end up, but and only you are responsible for where you end up. So make sure you believe, and make sure you achieve.
You are the only person responsible for where you end up. It's not my responsibility. No, is it George's or your mother's or your father or your boss or whatever? You personally, you are responsible for where you end up. It is 1 o'clock. Stand by for the news.